Today we're going to talk about creating worlds. It's pretty fantastic, isn't it? Here's what I mean by worlds. Sometimes that applies to literal spaces, right? Like the space that you live in, the space that something happens in. But more specifically, I want to explain the world in the context of one of my favorite quotes by author and comedian Trevor Noah that says, "When you love someone, you create a new world for them. Love is a creative act." And that is so beautiful. I think I even put it on the back of my book, Sheltered, as part of what inspired me, because I think it's so true. Love absolutely creates a world. Relationships create our worlds. Think about what you spend the most time thinking about and putting energy into. And that's often your relationships and the spaces that make those relationships, whether that's work, family, your religious organizations, your sports teams. That's where a lot of our time and energy and emotions go. So how do we make the worlds that we want to live in? What are the steps that we take to make those worlds? Today I'm going to give you some examples from my own writing and the stories that I write, because that's how I make worlds, is writing stories. But I'm also going to give you some real life examples of worlds that I've lived in, meaning environments, right? And places that I've gone to find connection. And I'm going to help you build those in your own life. So if something's missing in your life, right? A connection or a resource or a story, this is a great episode to give you some practical tips on how to make that and how to find it. So there's three main ways that you that you build the kind of world that you want to live in. And again, by world, I mean relationships and organizations, right? Like the places where we spend our most time and energy in our relationships and in the organizations that we're a part of. And again, this could be your work, religious organization, book club, whatever it might be, whatever relationships you spend time in and the places that you are in those relationships. So the three main ways that we begin to change those are, first of all, recognize what frustrates you. That's number one. Recognize what frustrates or irritates you. Because often when we're frustrated or irritated by something, it doesn't just mean that we're being negative. It means that something might need to change, and we might be the ones who can change it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is be patient enough with yourself to figure out what you might be able to do about it. So like spend some time thinking, okay, this irritates me. What could make it better? What does it need? So be patient enough to think about what would make it better and how you might be the person to make it better. And then finally, number three, what's the first step to making it better? To illustrate this, I'm first going to talk about, I'm going to talk about a couple different examples of how do we actually recognize what frustrates us? How do we see what we want to see? And then where do we start? So I'm going to talk about my series Fury, okay? That's my superhero series that you can find on my website, www.lovingcreatively.com, but I'll of course put the link in my notes. And Fury was actually born out of a conversation that I had with my husband after I hated one of his favorite movies. And it was this movie that came out in 2014 that I hated called Chronicle. And my husband's a huge movie buff. He loves all of the technical things behind, films and movies, which I love that about him. And that's part of what he loved about Chronicle is how it was shot. The movie was shot from very interesting angles, almost more like home videos and things like that. And that part of it was really cool. I 100% agreed with him. It was not like a superhero movie I had seen before. But guess what it had that I had seen before? A shit ton of sexist tropes. There's 3 teenagers in the movie who end up getting powers by accident. I bet you already know that none of them were female. Okay? It was 3 boys. Where the movie got worse is that one of the things they use their powers for is to blow girls' skirts up. And I say girls because they were teenage girls. And I'm like, really? Even in 2014, we're still blowing people's skirts up? Are you fucking kidding me? That's what you're using your powers for? To sexually assault women? High five, boys. And it was hard for me to even watch the rest of it. There's one female character in there who they give a brain, but she doesn't even, the movie doesn't even pass the Bechdel test, which is there more than one female character? Do they talk to each other? And is it about something other than men? Those are 3 simple questions. Most movies don't pass them. It's getting better now, but most movies did not used to pass it. So anyway, there's one female character in there who has a shred of intelligence, but she's just a side character. You know, she's like this movie maker too. Like, she likes to shoot films and things like that, but she's barely in it. She's there as the moral compass a little bit too. And that's why I hated the movie. I was irritated because it's like, okay, we're still using powers to sexually assault women. Where is the female leader in this? Yeah, okay. And here's what happens with a lot of people in movies too. They're like, yeah, but look at this strong character. Yeah, but look at this. It even happened with Avengers Endgame. Do you remember that really stupid scene at the end game where all the female characters are walking together, like Gwyneth Paltrow's Iron Woman and fucking, you know, who else? I can't even remember. Oh yeah, the Gamora character. They're all just like walking together after, and it's like, good God, it's so cheesy and it's so stupid. And part of the reason it's so cheesy and stupid is because it's the one scene that features the women working together in all of the Avengers movies. That's partly why it looked so stupid, because it is stupid. Yep, we have all the women working together for this one scene. Never mind the rest of the franchise that's sausage heavy, okay? So it was my irritation with this world, with this superhero world of females either not being cast at all or cast in lights where they were used or almost mock-worthy because of how stupidly they were cast. I can't think of any area in my life where I gathered my gal pals and I was like, let's go get 'em. No. My relationships with my female friends where we actually made powerful change resulted in like us having deep conversations, using our brains, talking about being physically active and actually gaining muscle. What the hell? You know, like, it's not only is it stupid, but it's not an accurate reflection of who women are. But here's where the pissed off feeling comes from. Entertainment shapes culture, right? It does. The things that entertain us shape our culture. Think about it. What has entertained human beings for centuries and continues to entertain people? Shows. Whether that show is watching athletes compete or the movies we watch. Music, right? Whether we're making that music together or going to concerts, that's what entertains us. Comedy, you know? Stand-up comedians or jesters, whatever it is. Books, media, all of that. That's what shapes culture. That's what cultures are built around. They really are. They're built around dance, shows, creative arts, all that stuff. So when you have women portrayed in a particular light, that's how culture is going to be shaped. And I don't think anybody can argue that we've had a very sexist culture in the United States for a very long time. So that's what pisses me off about it, is it's like, okay, not only is this portrayal of these women in movies inaccurate, but it's also pushing the idea that women only deserve a tiny shred of the spotlight. Women, their primary use is to be objects of physical desire, so much so that we will assault them and blow their skirts up just to get a glimpse at that physical desire and attainment. And this just isn't true, and it shapes these perceptions of how culture should run. So I was literally on a park bench complaining to my husband directly of actually how much that Chronicle movie made me mad. And then Fury grabbed me. It was like I was sitting there and all of a sudden her voice was in my head. And on that park bench, I wrote down the first paragraph of what is now a 3-volume series and counting. And it started from me being pissed off about how women were being written into stories, so I started writing my own. And this is where number 2 comes in. So the irritation that I recognized is sexist things happening in stories and why it bothered me. Because the part of number 1 with recognizing what irritates you, it's very important to ask yourself why. Why is this bothering me? Because I can promise you right now, despite everybody who tried to tell me otherwise, I'm not just being negative about movies. I'm not being negative, but I've often been told that I'm being negative. Like, oh, come on. Oh, well, it's like, no, this is wrong. Women should not be reduced to these physical objects or a one scene in a whole fucking series of badass superhero moves. Why are women, the most badass people on the planet, being reduced to a 30-second scene that looks like shit? No, I'm not complaining. I'm pointing out a problem that needs to be fixed. And I'll fix it. I shouldn't say no one's going to fix it. There are so many female directors and writers out there who are doing phenomenal things. And I'm grateful to them. So I just mean, in the context of like when you're trying to fight the good fight against the mainstream culture. Okay. So no one's going to write it. I'll write it. And so I let Fury take me. I heard her voice in my head. And for number 2, it's like, have the patience to understand what needs to be fixed and how you can fix it. I had to ask myself when I wrote Fury, okay, what kind of hero do I want to see? What kind of female hero, could be really, what do I see as heroic? So how can I represent what I truly see as heroic, which, spoiler alert, is not blowing up people's skirts. What do I see as heroic, and what do I see women as? I had to start answering those questions for myself. And what I see as heroic is people who are brave enough to learn from their mistakes. And you'll see in Fury's description, she talks about going to the edge of her own self-destruction, right? That's in my previous episode, talking about people who are brave enough to learn from their mistakes and brave enough to embrace all of who they are. Okay, so that's part of what's heroic. People who learn from their mistakes and embrace who they are. That was part of what shaped Fury. She is going to be someone who's going to make some mistakes, but she's going to learn from them and they're going to make her even stronger. I also think it's heroic to care for the planet. And I know that unfortunately that still sounds nerdy, but it's like, hey, we human beings need to take care of the earth, man, or we're going to lose it. But also, everything that I've studied with traditional medicine and things like that, it's like, hell. And even modern science, if you look into Zach Bush's stuff, it's like, damn, everything we need to actually heal is on the earth. We just have to start using it appropriately again and more symbiotically again. So to me, I saw another justice issue beyond sexism of like needing to care for the planet and care for ourselves better, get away from all this processed shit and using and abusing the earth for our own purposes and get back to caring for it and working symbiotically. So it's like, okay, how do I make something that seems nerdy seem cool? So I gave Fury fire and air powers. I made her a being who is connected to the earth itself, who can do amazing things with her connection to the earth. And within that storyline, I made the villain somebody who's destroying the earth and destroying people and animals because of it. So for number 2, what do I see as heroic? How can I fix it? What do I think, Well, I want a woman who shows that she learns from her mistakes, but also who is incredibly strong, and she draws that strength from the earth, which she also cares for. Now, these are real life human qualities. So you might be thinking, some of you out there, yeah, you're sitting here talking about superhero stuff. Like what, does it really influence humanity that much? Well, yes, it absolutely does, because again, entertainment runs the world. Human beings are beings of entertainment. Number 2, in any fictional story, there are real life human qualities in it, right? Bravery, courage, teamwork, evolution. Those are all real life human being things that we can learn from. And that's true in any fictional story. Okay? So when it came to Fury for number 2, it's like, I want a hero who learns from her mistakes, who's strong, and who cares for the earth. So that all played into the story that I was going to write. And then finally, for number 3, what do I do with all this now that I've answered those questions? Well, the answer for me, the step is, okay, first I need to write the story. So I wrote the story. Second is, how do I get it out there so people can read this? Well, I made a website. I can't necessarily get a hold of all the big name publishers right away, and Fury was the series that I wanted out there right away, because it's like, nah, sexism and destroying the planet has already been going on too damn long. This needs to go out now. So I put it on my website. I got a website, and you can get your own website for a fairly reasonable price. And I put it on my website, and I started advertising on Facebook for people to read it. So think about logical next steps. For me, logical next steps were just writing the story and finding a way to put it out there so people would read it. And accepting the fact that it might not blow up overnight, but even if one person reads that, it could change things. So to recap, my number 1 with this world making thing, right? I was frustrated with a world of entertainment where women were demeaned and devalued. I was frustrated with that world. So for me, because I'm a writer, it's like, well, fuck, I'm going to write a new one. And I thought about the kind of hero that I wanted and that I thought would better serve women around the world, that would better represent women around the world. And I wrote it. I thought about the other things that matter to me, caring for the planet, getting reconnected with the planet. Okay, well, that's going in there too. So now that I've written this story and I have an idea of this hero, well, how do I get people to read it? Again, can't contact a bunch of big name publishers overnight. Okay, well, I'm going to make a website and put it on there and throw out a couple ads and be patient enough to see how it might spread. Even if you're not a writer, I hope that some of these ideas are starting to spark interest in you. And if not, I'm going to give a couple more real world examples of, 2 people who I know who started by making their own world, the world that they wanted to see and be a part of. One of them is my dance instructor. She is somebody who grew up dancing. She loved dancing as a little girl, as a teenager. And the thing is, so the problem she was addressing is now she's an adult with kids and a full-time job. Where is there room for dancing in that? It's hard. And not just for dancing, but dancing in the way that she needed, which was high intense cardio and creative innovation. It can be hard to find those things as an adult. Right? It can be hard. High school in some ways is kind of easy when it comes to our interests, right? And our passions, because a lot of it is right there, depending on the school you're at. And I recognize that some schools are underfunded, but you know what I mean overall. Oh, you want to dance? Join the dance team. Oh, you want to play basketball? Join the basketball team. Join the chess club. I mean, whatever. It's all right there. So the problem that my friend was addressing is, hey, I need a high intensity creative dance form for people who are adults and who have responsibilities. Well, she started going to some of the classes that were around in her community, but they weren't quite enough. Either they didn't meet often enough, or it wasn't high enough like cardio, or the moves would change too often so people couldn't learn them. So she said, well, okay, this isn't enough. Let me start researching online, what are some other dance forms that are out there that people are doing for working adults? And she found the kind of dance form that I use, which is called Shine. It's called Shine Dance Fitness, and she found it online, and she started learning it and participating in the online classes. So this is the how. She was irritated with the lack of options. She went online and found other options out there, and then she started learning them and using her dance background to learn them. And then she took it a step further and said, I'm going to actually start offering these classes at my local gym. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to get certified through Shine, and I'm going to start offering this at my local gym. Well, because of, whatever copyright issues, it took a long time for this dance form to be recognized at that gym as what it was. They had to call it cardio dance rather than Shine. But my friend kept pushing to learn these moves, to learn this style of dance, and to offer classes at this big name gym. And lo and behold, her classes started gaining popularity. People loved her classes, number one, because of the enthusiasm she put into it, because it was something she believed in. This is key. If you're going to start anything, you better believe in it. It better be special to you, because other people aren't going to believe it if you don't. Her energy and her spark with this dance formation is part of what drew people into it, because she was passionate about it. She found something that was high intense cardio but creative and innovative with the dance moves, but not so much so that people couldn't learn it. It was the most beautiful balance of everything. So she was offering these classes. She brought her enthusiasm to it, and then slowly over time, because of the popularity of her classes, it grew at this very big multi-chain gym. More instructors started learning it. Eventually the rights were obtained, or whatever needed to happen to call it actual Shine Dance Fitness. And this very big name gym that's not just across the Midwest, but across the whole country, now started offering this particular dance form because my friend, an instructor, wasn't satisfied with what was being offered. That's another example of how to make the world that you want. It starts with frustration. Then it starts with looking at yourself and what you want to see and what your resources are, and being willing to take a step and work with what you have, and then it will grow and grow. A final example I'm going to give you is from my friend Varla. Right? She was on talking about her books and her writing process and all of that. Well, the reason I met Varla is because she teaches some of the writing classes in my community. And Varla moved here from the San Francisco area several years ago, right? And if you know anything about California and San Francisco, there's a huge arts culture, right? You're immersed in the arts, in the very state where entertainment and art is like one of the most popular in the United States, right? Like, where do people go to make it as an artist? California or New York. It's going to be one of those two states, okay? So here is this lovely author who is used to being, at this like art-centric place. Now she's moving to the Midwest, and the Midwest has a lot of value. Minneapolis itself has a huge arts district, so there can be pockets of art found here, but we're not really known for the arts. And Varla doesn't live too far away from me, okay? So I can tell you from living in pretty much the same city that she does, that we're not necessarily known for art in the suburbs of Minnesota. So what does this California born and raised artist do? She starts finding some of those little pockets, right? Where are the pockets in Minnesota of art, of places where people are creating, are a little bit more open-minded about, innovative art? Where is that? And she found one not far from where we live, and she started taking some of the classes there for herself. And then she saw more of a need. Okay, these classes are great, but some of these instructors are leaving, and then there's going to be no writing program here for people. Okay, I'll make the writing program. And so it started by her frustration of, here I've moved to this place that doesn't offer, as many arts. Okay, well, here's one place that does. Okay, I'll take a couple of their classes. Oh, there's a need here. Okay, I'll fill it. I'll write my own classes. I'll offer my own classes with my expertise. And she makes it really fun. She brings all the flair of who she is to those classes and makes them magical. So when I'm talking about worlds, I mean the relationships that we're in and the places that we go to experience those relationships and those connections. You make worlds by first recognizing your own frustrations and what's missing. And then secondly, looking at yourself and the skills and knowledge that you have, as well as what you need to learn, and starting to build it. And then finally, being okay and patient with the process of putting it out there and of allowing growth to happen, because I promise you it can grow. Both my dance friend and Varla have grown the writing programs and the dance programs in those respective places. It's grown and it's becoming more mainstream. Now we have more mainstream options for adults who want to dance and learn and challenge their bodies, but they've got kids and jobs and other obligations. Now we have a writing program for adults who no longer have access to college or high school for these things. Now they can go to their local art center and take these writing classes. Varla and my other friend, I haven't gotten her permission to use her name on here, so that's why I'm being a little bit more secretive about it. They built the worlds that they wanted. They both had needs, so they built them. You can do the same thing. Don't dismiss all of your frustrations as negativity, even if people are telling you that it is. Even if people are like, why are you so negative? Why are you complaining? Maybe you're being negative because something needs to change, and maybe you're the one who's supposed to change it. Now, I'm someone who's trying to work on their emotions, right? Like, often we see anger and frustration as negative things that need to be mastered. And I agree with that to an extent of like, yeah, don't let anger and frustration be your home, right? Like, we all want to have an emotional home of peace and bliss and, joy. But we do need a little bit of anger. We do need a little bit of frustration, because that's where change happens. Think about all the unjust things that are happening in the world, Think about all the injustice out there. Is joy the appropriate emotion for fighting injustice? I'm not so sure. Often, fighting the good fight, creating worlds that are more equal and fun for everyone involves a little bit of anger, involves a little bit of frustration, involves the recognition that maybe things need to change and you could be the one to change them. So what is it for you? Are you someone like me who wants to write new stories, who wants to put forth other entertainment? Do you see a need in your community? Do you see a need for maybe even a book club? Do you want to get more people reading? There's probably more people who want to read but just need an opportunity. Start a book club in your neighborhood. Invite people over. Suggest the book. Do you see a need for more people to start growing their food? Start your own garden. Locate your local community gardens. Learn how they work. See how you could start one in your neighborhood by getting connected to the ones that are out there. What needs do you see in your community? What worlds do you want to make? Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe there's a need for a particular business in your community that just isn't there. Start looking around for how you can be the one to start it. There's so many ways that we can build new, beautiful worlds if we just take a minute to ask ourselves the important questions about why is there this need and how can I change it, and if we just have enough patience to allow it to grow. It's so worth it. And you know what I mean. Think about the worlds you're already a part of that you love. I love my dance, my dance experience, and I love that I don't have to drive too far to get there. I love the relationships that I've made because of this writing class that Varla started and maintained. I love my Fury story. I love that it exists. Maybe it hasn't blown up yet, but people have read it. I have no idea the lives it might have changed. But I love the fact that it exists and I made it, and I'm living in a culture now where it exists and could blow up if the right person reads it. Be proud of yourself and what you can make, and trust that it will grow. If your heart's in it and you're committed to learning and connecting, it will grow. You will change your world and the world by taking these steps. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for coming.